Hi and welcome to Healthy Life Hacks. I'm Jefferies, the present-day wise woman, a realistic naturopath coming to you from the surfing beaches of Australia. This podcast is for those of you who are wanting to really rock your life and health and live from a place of prevention. Let's get into today's episode. Did you know that more than 1 billion women have pelvic floor disorders like incontinence or prolapse? Scarily, the average age is 50 to 79 years, and we're all told to do Kegel exercises to strengthen our pelvic floor to combat incontinence and pelvic floor issues. However, unfortunately, almost 30% of women performing Kegel exercises are doing it inaccurately and potentially damaging. And I know for me, when I had a prolapse, I just went, I need Kegel. I Googled, I need Kegels. And was flogging myself doing all these Kegels and making it worse. Why? Because when I went and saw my fanny physio and had a full in-depth, different to a doctor went, yep, prolapse, do your Kegels, off you go. And here, go and see a fanny physio. It was a couple of weeks before I was able to get in and see the fanny physio. And when I finally got in and she did an examination, she went, your pelvic floor is so tight. Imagine it's like you've got a tight muscle in your neck and you're doing all these exercises to make it stronger. All you're doing is making it tighter. And so I had to go through a whole process to relax my pelvic floor muscles before I could even think about doing things like Kegels to strengthen them. I know, it's crazy. And talking to, so many women who've come out of the woodwork and have contacted me since, they've all found the same thing. When they've gone and been properly diagnosed, just doing Kegels was making it worse because they needed to relax the muscles first. That's huge. So I always think of it nowadays. My fanny physio, Sarah, Dr. Sarah, she explained to me it's like a tight muscle in your shoulders and you're training it to make it stronger, and all it's doing is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Think of your prolapse exactly the same way, okay? So what is a prolapse? Well, I'm not going to go into it all here because we've done 4 really in-depth episodes 178 of my podcast, 179, 180, and 181. 3 of those are with my fanny physio, Dr. Sarah Matten, and she talks everything about the different types of incontinence right through to the prolapses and ways that she treats them, including with acupuncture and everything, like she does with me. And also there's one there with my acupuncturist and Chinese medicine herbalist, and she talks about the influence of literally working too hard causing prolapse. Just being busy can help cause prolapse. So go and check those episodes out. There's so much information on them on their own, but I wanted to add a couple of things in because this journey's been about 4 months for me now as I record this. No, about 3 months. And it's about 4 months since I was diagnosed, but really started this protocol of treatments about 3 months ago. And these are kind of the not negotiables I've found as a way to be able to, that I'm getting it better. So my prolapse was a stage 4, which means, and in my case, it's a rear wall prolapse. And so I actually got none of the incontinence kind of issues. My front, if you want to put it that way, my front pelvic floor muscle is really strong. I had no problems with incontinence or urge incontinence or stress incontinence or any of those things. I had no markers to tell me. One day I had a cold and I did a mighty cough. And I've talked about it in all these other recordings, but I did a mighty cough when I had a chest cold in the middle of winter. And yeah, my uterus decided to descend and it came to just outside my inner lips of my vulva. And it feels like you've got a tampon halfway in. If you've ever worn a tampon, for women listening to this, it's not painful. It's just incredibly uncomfortable. So over the last months of treatments, and particularly I'm going to talk about 3 things today that have really helped me. Using those things as well as having treatments, like having acupuncture and seeing my fanny physio and having all those treatments as well. These are 3 things I do at home that have really helped me heaps. They're not just my recovery for now. I actually see me doing these continuing for, I wish I'd bloody known this 20 years ago because I would have done it in prevention. I never saw myself as a risk. I'd never birthed a child. I thought, I'm good. So I never did anything with this. So yeah, it's huge. So anyway, let's jump in. I want to just talk briefly on these three because they're absolutely not negotiables for me. The first one is mindset. I've got to tell you, my self-confidence got knocked more with this than it has with anything in my life. I really mean that. It was like my brain's going, fuck, will this thing ever get any better? Like, is it going to get worse? Is my fanny going to fall? If I don't wear jocks, will it literally just fall out of my body? What is sex going to be like? I'm, 2 years into a wonderful marriage with my wife, Alice, and it's like, we enjoy sex. And it was like, what, is that going to be the same? Can she feel the prolapse when it's hanging out? Like all those things. It was big, and it really rattled my confidence. Like I've never had anything rattle my confidence in my life. And I realized that I kind of lost hope for a while. This was such an unknown for me. Yeah, as a naturopath, I'm trained in so many different things, and a naturopath is like a natural GP. However, I'd refer people on for this kind of treatment if I met women with it. So I've never had to directly deal with it myself. And not deeply learned in this subject. I just wasn't. And so I started educating myself really fast. And there's so much information out there, but so much of it is based around Kegels and stuff. So I just, I'm a doer. And so I really was doing all the action to try and make it better. And it wasn't, and I wasn't getting any headway. And I was actually starting to lose hope. So we need to get the good info, but we need to get the good info. So Dr. Google can be dangerous sometimes because there's so much information out there. But what I've learned with fannies is, and for my North American friends, we're not talking about your bottom like you guys call a fanny. As Aussies, we call your female genitalia your fanny. It's so specific to the way your body is, and go back to those 4 different podcasts, and Dr. Sarah talks all about the examination and everything they do. But it's really important to go and see a fanny physio, and I love mine. Sarah's a great chick, and Georgia, who's a fanny physio I've also worked with, was able to give me a pessary so that I can continue to surf safely without doing any more damage to it. But the biggest thing that these women gave me was hope. Okay, so they absolutely went that, yep, this is a reality. This is the work you need to do. And I do my treatments and take herbs and do all the things. But they gave me hope. And that hope helped me stop focusing on the fact that it was happening and focus on, I'm just going to be strong. Again, it's one of those protocols I'm doing for life, to be strong, fit, and healthy as I age. It's like 1 in 3 women over 50 get this. That's a scary statistic. They mightn't get a full stage 4 prolapse like I got, but I've had so many wonderful friends say to me, oh, Jen, you're so brave. You've talked about this. I've been peeing my pants for years. And I'm like, go and get that shit fixed. You can fix that shit. You don't have to be putting up with the fact that you leak every time you sneeze or laugh or jump up and down or anything. That's boringly fixable for the right kind of physio. And like I say, I had none of those problems, but I have a bulge, it's a bulge that it feels like it's the inner walls of the chopping up into my vagina. It wants to, by this time I'm recording this, it's late in the afternoon. In the morning, it's up. Nowadays it recedes. So I'm like a type 2, or stage 2. So it recedes properly at night, and I can control it probably half of the day, and then just gravity wins. And it's not strong enough yet to hold it up all day. But I'm getting there. I'm way better than I was. So I celebrate all those little wins. And all those things kind of help keep me hope. So mindset is huge to the recovery of this, because it's easy. I have one girlfriend, she's peed herself for like 18 years. I had no idea, because it's not talked about, which is why I'm really making sure I talk about this stuff. So don't just go, oh, yeah, it's just one of those things about getting old. That's bullshit. Like, get the right practitioners to help you and do the work. So that's one thing. The second thing is adaptogens. So I had this one nailed. I've been on adaptogen herbs, and I've done so many podcasts about adaptogens. So when you listen to the interview with Dr. Maz, who's a very cool Chinese medicine practitioner, she talked about how what's called a spleen deficiency happens, and working too hard, racing around, doing all those kind of things, juggling too many balls, it bites us, it catches up with us, and we end up with a deficiency, and literally gravity, energy, boom, it drops, and we can't hold it in, and it shows up as things like prolapses in women. So adaptogens are a class of herbs that we use to help our body to adapt to stress and everything that's going on. So I really encourage you, go and have a listen to podcast number 180, because Maz talks about different foods and things that we can eat to help. Well, you know, I don't eat cold berries out of the fridge anymore. I love cold blueberries. However, cold and blue is cooling, and literally I need the pungent. So I eat more chili and garlic and turmeric and ginger and the pungents nowadays. I always ate a lot, but I eat a lot more now. And if I'm going to eat berries or something, I'm better off to warm them on the stove first and eat them like a coolie versus having them, you know, as a juice or whatever that fancy word is for it, versus just eating them whole. So that's a really useful podcast. Head to my episode number 180 with Dr. Maz. Invaluable. So adaptogens are a class of herbs that help our body adapt to stress. That's part of the picture as well. So I had a big tick. I was nailing that one. I've taken adaptogens for over 30 years. But I just, you know, I was still going too fast leading up to when all this happened. And we also realized that this was not something that sneaked in overnight and didn't happen just with that one cough. It had been coming for a few years. I just had no signs of it, where many women will get signs and symptoms with it. Yeah. So I wanted to also touch on one of the toys, so to speak, one of the implements that we use, and Dr. Sarah talked about it in one of her videos, because we talked about all the different things she's been using on me, it's like an internal, there's one that's like an internal TENS machine, but also the PeriFit. So the PeriFit is it's a connected device that uses patented, it looks like a dildo, either pink or green, whichever you want. I've got the hot pink one, of course, because I love hot pink. But it looks like it's got built-in sensors. Now, when you're doing so many of the other treatments and that, it's more passive movement, but this is incredibly specific what you do. So you insert it, and it works with an app on your phone. And what it's doing is you can isolate the different areas, the different parts, the different pelvic floor muscles to different things. And you can't cheat and use things like your transverse abdominis or clench your glutes and do it that way. You actually have to be really specific with movements. So I found it invaluable to teach me how to do Kegels, so to speak, properly, because so many women think, oh yeah, I'm doing it, I'm sucking it up, or I'm pulling it, and I'm clenching my butt, and I'm doing all those things. Yeah, but you're not doing anything to help your pelvic floor. So I really recommend that. It's a great way to help. It will show you, hey, you're doing it wrong, fix it. So it's invaluable. I found it as a tool that's helped. And for me, as this corrects, I'll actually use it as part of my maintenance for the rest of my life. And this is part of my body that needs to be working properly for every reason, same as any other part of your body systems. So I really recommend the PeriFit. If you go to the show notes, www.healthylifehacks.com.au, there'll be a link there where you can click on it. You can click your country. You'll be able to find that in the drop-down menu where you are in the world. And then you can use there'll be a code there in the show notes as well, so you can get a discount. I think they're amazing. I really think they do. So doing the physical stuff has been a part of it. Food and nutrition's been a part. Like I said, go and check out that podcast with Dr. Maz. Taking herbs has been part of it to have my body adapt to stress. I'll always do that and have done it for decades. But all of it led to mindset as well. It's like anything else in the body. And it's kind of like, if you're going and seeing someone, like when I just went and saw the doctor, and she was a cool doctor, because she's like, yep, you've got a prolapse. You need to do Kegels. Off you go. I went, great, Googled Kegels, smashed them out, and was doing more damage because I needed to do different things to relax my pelvic floor first. And they were specific exercises and things and acupuncture and stuff that my practitioners actually helped me with. because I was making it worse. So can I say, initially I thought, fuck, will this thing ever get better? Yeah, I know it will. And I'm on the track now. Has it got as better as I wanted, as quick as I wanted? No, but that's all part of the journey as well. Will it get worse? No. If I do what I'm meant to do, it'll be all right. And I love that I've got the support. Like I see Georgia, the fanny physio, who, like I say, I've got a pessary nowadays, which it looks like kind of a 1-inch square cube. We're going to do a whole podcast next month. I'll be talking to Georgia, and she's going to talk about all the different pessaries and things, because that's enabled me to get back to surfing. That's been wonderful. I didn't surf for nearly 2 months. And that was doing my mental health in, because that's the way I deal with stress. It's huge. Will it ever just fall out completely? No, it's not possible. But my mind went there. And I think if my mind can go there, yours can too, which is why I want to talk about these things. I've had to work this shit out like you may have been. So I really encourage you to hold hope. Use my story to hold hope with you and do the physical work, and also have a good support team around you who are going to help you to celebrate little wins. I talk with this about everyone. They know the journey that I'm on. Some days I need to lift up with it. It's a reality. I know there's a ton of gifts in this, as there is in everything in life. And even one of the gifts is that I've been able to help so many women who weren't doing anything with this and were putting up with it and are now gone and gotten help and are in a very different place. Or women who were like me, thinking, no, I'm not at risk. I don't need to do anything about that. I'm not going to. And who are now actively, doing things to look after it. So I encourage you to talk about it. The only way this stuff will be demystified and we can help other people is if people share their experiences. So if you ever want to message me anytime about your prolapse, you're most welcome. My email address is jennifer@jenniferjefferies.com. You're welcome to message me. This is big. It's big stuff. Like I say, this challenged me more than anything has ever challenged me with my health in my life, because I felt very out of control with it. Stress and all that stuff when I burned out, totally different response. This was like, whoa, this is not cool. So hold hope, do the work, get the right advice, and remember to relax. See ya. I want to thank you for being here today. If you enjoyed my podcast, please let me know by leaving a review on Apple Podcast. Every month, I draw one lucky person who leaves a review, have a free 1-hour consultation with me. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you're tuning in from so that you always catch the next episode. I welcome your emails, and you can write to me at podcast@healthylifehacks.com.au. Until next time, remember, when it comes to life, live it, love it, and get on with it.